In today's video, we're really gonna focus on my 2019 sewing related goals. Hi, my name is Matilda and welcome back to Miss Matti, the channel where we talk about how to live an awesome and sustainable life. So I have a cup of tea here, and if you want to get a cup of tea, get yourself a cup and let's get into it. Every year I create a word of the year, and this year I have actually two words, and that is embrace creativity. And what that looks like, it's both used on their own as well as together. So my words are basically embrace as well as creativity and embrace creativity. It's basically because I really want to implement creativity in every area of my life, like really looking at problems from a problem solving point of view rather than like, oh, I can't do anything about that. It's also gonna look like, when it comes to the word embrace, that really stepping up my game and really getting out of my comfort zone. So for example, that's also gonna look like when I'm taking on a challenge, I'm really embracing that challenge. So that's my two words for the year. But I also have sort of created two other big themes for the year. And the first one is that 2019 is year of slow sewing. It might sound counterproductive to that I do want to accomplish a lot of things this year, but it's more of a mindset. I've been feeling for a long time that the sewing community online really needs a slow sewing and craft movement, similar to the slow food movement and the slow fashion movement. So a little while back, in the beginning of the year, Amy Nicole's studio here on YouTube made a video where she shared that the 2019 was her year of slow sewing. I could relate to a lot of things she was sharing. For example, this whole thing when it comes to my personal projects without a deadline, that I feel the need to rush it. I don't even know what I'm rushing for. And same what she shared, like she wasn't sure why she was rushing to get to the finished product. And for me, how it's gonna look like this year is to really embrace, see, it's coming up again. Embrace like every stage of the process of my project. One area that I have not always been so great at is the prepping stage. For example, washing the fabrics before I'm starting to make the project, making sure that the fit is perfect before rushing into making it into the actual fabric. Take more time in the design process before I'm actually starting sewing. A lot of times I think we're getting so impatient, we really want to get on and make things, but we're actually getting a better result if we really take a step back and we take time to do this prep work. We take time to prepare our fabrics so they're washed and pressed and all ready for sewing, as well as take time to sample, for example, if it's a pocket you never made before, to make sure that when you finally make it on the actual garment that you are prepared and you have the skills you need to not mess it up. And also in this whole enjoying the process is to be okay with making mistakes. Seeing the mistakes and when things take time, see that as the part of the design process. Another part of everything, if I take more time to actually finish something, I will also be more happy with the end result. Because a lot of times, I'm sure many of you can relate, when we rush things, that's when we do stupid mistakes, we don't sew straight lines, we mess things up, and we might end up with a garment that didn't look to our best ability. So I really want to embrace the process more and take it slower. Another aspect of this is to be very intentional about what I'm making this year. So how that's looking is that I am this year not buying new fabrics if I don't know exactly what I'm gonna make. I'm gonna be very intentional with my projects this year, and how that's looking like is that like I am intentional with my purchases for my wardrobe. Like I'm not buying a dress just because the reason that it's cute. I'm actually need to see that it fills a gap that I have noticed in my wardrobe. I have a certain amount of outfits that I can create from that dress. And the same is with everything I'm sewing. It needs to fill a gap in my wardrobe. It needs to fill a gap in my home and serve a purpose and not be something that just lays there and clutter up the space. Another part about intentionality is also about not buying fabrics for a someday maybe project. Like instead of actually making sure this year that I'm only buying fabrics for projects that I have planned through, and I know when I bought the fabric that I will in the very near future make it. This is something I've implemented a couple of years ago, but it doesn't hurt to remind yourself, because it can be very tempting sometimes to buy things that were not so thought through. Another thing with why I really think the sewing and crafting community online really needs and would benefit from a slow crafting and sewing movement, it's just the sheer amount of projects that some people make and the sheer amount of fabrics many people buy. I'm not trying to shame anyone to buy too much fabric, because I know that it's a weakness when you are a crafty person. The one thing that's really been bugging me in the end of 2018 is compassion. For example, I need to allow myself that projects can take time. And a lot of times it's been like I've been working on one project, then I go on social media and I see someone else that is a sewist or knitter or whatever online that already through the time I've been working on this one piece has finished free. And I feel so stressed and I feel like I am so slow and I'm not able to keep up. I just need to accept that my projects take the time it takes, and that's okay. And I don't have the aim to make millions and millions of projects just for the sake of it. As I said earlier, I want to be really intentional with it, and I want to make things that really adds value to my life, and I want to make them well. It's not aligned with my goals and values to spit out loads and loads of projects just to create a video or some photos online to get likes and views. I just need to be very stay in my lane, try to not compare myself to other people, but it's easier said than done. And I mean, this whole comparison thing is a whole other video entirely, and I could say so much more about the sewing and crafting community's need of a slow movement, but that's also another video. So let's move on to the next sort of theme for the year. I'm subscribed to Leonie Dawson's newsletter, and that was how I discovered this next thing that is called a depth year. So she's sort of doing a depth year that she implements as in having a low spend year, but it's not necessarily a low spend or no spend year. So I'm gonna share with you exactly what it's about. So the depth year was created by this man called David Kane. I will link to his blog post down below so you can read more about it. What he writes is here: what if for a whole year you stopped acquiring new things or taking on new pursuits? Instead, you return to abandoned projects, stalled hobbies, unread books, or other neglected intentions, and go deeper with them than you ever have before. I love that people can implement it how it suits them. I really enjoy that. And for me, it's really about loving what I got. So for me this year, it's gonna be a lot of using what I already have. Instead of acquiring new things, I'm just gonna go back and use the things I already own as much as possible. And that looks in many different ways. For example, I have a serger cover stitch machine. There's so many functions on that machine that I don't know how to use yet. So I really want to master my machine and really learn how to use it to its fullest potential. Another way is that I do have two knitting machines, and they've been also neglected for some time, and I really want to get back into machine knitting. Yeah, just use the things I own and appreciate them. How it also looks like, which I have done throughout January and I will continue now in February as well, is to go through my UFO pile, my unfinished projects, and try to finish them as much as possible. Or if I don't feel like finishing them, allow them to be turned into something else. And the same with all my fabrics. I'm gonna go through my fabrics and give away fabrics to other people, and especially things in my upcycle pile, because that's the biggest part of my stash, and really allow myself to just pass on the things that do not inspire me anymore, because I really want to clear space. I think that's what a lot of the depth here is for me. I want to create all these big projects, right? So I need to create space in my life to make this happen. So such I cannot have old projects that I didn't finish laying around. I cannot have a massive mend pile that is just falling over. That's the state of it right now. I'm not joking. I cannot have loads of fabrics that I'm just holding on to because I feel it's wasteful to get rid rid of them. And such, I'm gonna try to really also attack those upcycle projects that I wanted to do. And I know many of you are looking forward to me sharing with you, so I'm also gonna get on to that. Other ways it looks like is just be creative with what I already have. For example, if I am making a project, maybe I think initially that I need, for example, a zipper, but maybe I do not have a zipper that is exactly suitable for this project. So I can look at other closures I already have. Maybe I have some buttons in my stash that maybe would add something completely new and unexpected to my project. If I had just gone to the store and bought that zipper, maybe that design opportunity would have been missed. Does it make sense what I'm saying? This also comes back to that word, embrace creativity. You basically look at everything like, is the way I'm thinking initially the best way to do things? Maybe there's another solution. Maybe instead of going to buy a lace for a trim, maybe I can make that trim with something I already own. It's just a thought, embracing that thinking and really like see, okay, do I already own something that can serve the same purpose? And this doesn't mean that I'm not allowed to buy things. As I mentioned earlier, I have a lot of projects planned that I do not have the suitable materials for. But that's also probably why I'm focusing right now to really clear space. So when I'm gonna make those projects, I have space. I do not have an overflowing unfinished project shelf, and I do not have an overflowing stash, because I really want to see this year that my stash reduces instead of growing faster than I have time to do projects. Because personally for me, it's not a goal to have an enormous stash, because it stresses me. It really stresses me out, to be fair with you. So I'm gonna make an ancient-century costume is my plan. I'm gonna knit a lot of feral projects, so I'm really pushing my skills there. As I mentioned, I want to get back into machine knitting and just generally push my sewing and knitting skills to the next level. And another thing I want to do that isn't directly sewing related is to get back into drawing comics. I'm just gonna really reconnect this year with the things that I'm super passionate about, and I'm a very multi-passionate person, but it goes back to a few things. I love sewing, I love knitting, I love making things, and I love drawing, and I love telling stories, and I love inspiring people to create, and I love to make videos. So it all goes back to those things I truly love. Actually forgot to mention when it comes to making things I want and need from things I already own without acquiring new things. I'm just gonna show you very quickly. So here are my tailor sausage, and here's my tailor's ham, and I made these out of fabrics from my stash, stuffed them with fabric scraps. So this is gonna help me a lot in some of the products I'm making. And then I also made this pincushion bracelet here. I bought this from Value Village. This was fabric from my stash, and then I stuffed it with some pillow fillings that I had laying around. I will link the tutorials that I follow for both of these projects down in the description below. Yeah, this is some of the things I have been thinking for a long time that would really benefit me in my sewing. I was planning first to buy them, but then I figured I actually have a lot of things that I can make it with. So that's some of the things that you can make with things you already own if you want to take on that challenge. Some other things that I'm gonna make, but although I need to buy a few supplies for that, is to make my own dress form, and I'm gonna make my own pressing board mat, I don't know what you call it, and a few other things for my sewing room. And if you're interested in seeing those tutorials, let me know in the comments below. I guess that was all the goals I've set for myself so far this year. Looking forward to share with you throughout the year how it's going. Let me know in the comments below what goals you have set for yourself, if there's anything I shared about that you can relate to, anything that inspired you. I would love to hear, so leave a comment below. And also, if you like this video, make sure to hit the like button. And if you do not want to miss DIY tutorials, both sewing tutorials, upcycle tutorials, and generally how to live an awesome and sustainable life, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, because then you will not miss any upcoming videos from me. And until next time, hej då!